it depends on where you are in your life. If you've got family and responsibilities and stuff like that, obviously you can't take as many risks. But without risk, there is no reward. I'm a big believer in that. So I would say, see what's available. Drupal's hot right now, so really it's not that risky. If you've ever thought about going out on your own and really growing a company, now's the time to do it probably. So really think about where your strengths are in your, as yourself, and then how do you then, when you're doing too much development, you need a project manager, so you go find a project manager. Start out by contracting, basically. Bring in contractors to help you out. Take on as much work as you can, possibly, and then start to go wide with it by bringing in either you're strategically aligning yourself with other freelancers, other small agencies, and that's just kind of a nice organic way to grow and be able to get to a spot where you're not the guy doing everything, but now you're relying on people. For me, that was a big thing. When I hired my first employee, it was just a milestone event, where you feel like, wow, I'm not the only person thinking about this stuff. And it feels great, actually. Then you end up overworking that one person, most likely. And they're going to get to a point where they're just like, oh my God, you overworked me. Recognize that. Remember what it was like when it was you being overworked and overworking yourself. And just keep finding really good talent that you could work with and grow your team. Anyone has anything to add?
You know what? Why don't we let Glenn talk about building a team? He
Great.
did a really good job on that earlier.
Thanks. When we started out at ImageX, I was previously doing video production and came in about 2005 where I decided to transition because really we were doing this one-stop shop type of thing where we were pretty much offering all the services that anybody would ask for. So a client would come to us, one of our video production clients, and they'd say, could you do web design? And I would always answer, yes, sure, I could do that. I had no idea how to do web design, so I would just hire somebody, just a contractor or a student or anything like that to come in and do these things with me. And I had 5 or 6 different services going at that point in time, and for 4 or 5 years I was staying around the same really small project size, doing local business. And I just, at that point in time, said, this is crazy, I'm doing way too many things. I said yes to motion graphics. I went out and bought After Effects for $800, and then I've used it once since then. That's it. That's not really smart business. And so deciding to lop everything off was really scary, and to just go, okay, I'm going to just do one thing and I'm going to do it awesome. And then to start to look at how could I build my team from that point. And for myself, the direction I chose at that point in time was with design. I looked around and said, you know what, there's a lot of great development shops out there, but there's not a lot of them that are doing really great designs. And so that was the area I chose as kind of the niche that I was going to focus on. So I went to all the local design schools, and I waited, when they'd have graduating classes, I would go and I would go through and look at all of the portfolios, and I'd choose the top 4 students. And I'd hire each of them for an individual contract to work with me. And then out of that, I would choose the best one, and then I would hire that individual to come on and work with me. And so that's how I started to build my team. And I began to just go out and try to get as many design contracts as I could get just to build my portfolio. And once I had that portfolio, we started to find, at the same time we were SEOing our site, and people started to come to us, and our clients started to change from the local clients to starting to get some well-known clients that were coming in, and that really helped us to land new clients. And so I'm getting a little off track there, but you kind of got me going there, Mike. But on the team building side, I found that a lot of the good talent that I would get, I would lose them. And that, as a young business owner, that was just the worst thing of all. Like, there would be times when you get an email in your inbox from one of your team members, and you have a sinking feeling just when you'd see that email. You'd be so, oh my goodness, what is it going to be now? Because when you get a couple of really great people stolen from you from some downtown firm that can pay them way more money than you can, it's just a horrible feeling. And so you start to realize, you know what, I got to raise my rates, I've got to be able to hold on to these people. But then I started to realize there's so many other things that I need to be doing. There's no real, as Dave says, there's no real silver bullet. there's just a whole myriad of things I need to be doing as a company owner to ensure that I retain and keep my people. And so over the last 4 or 5 years, that's what I've been really working on doing, is trying to develop a culture within my company where I can attract people who want to come and work for us and go, that is the best company to work for in this city. And if you can build that kind of reputation, you can really attract great people to your team. And if you can really treat them well, and there's a whole bunch of facets to that, and if we get time, we'll go into some of those, but I'm just gonna kind of generally say that there's no one key thing, there's many different things. So I'll let some of the other guys speak to that.
Great, thanks, Glenn. Just to go through this, we'll have plenty of questions, and we'll get into this because it's a very big topic. But I think all of us believe a lot in a project management structure, and obviously at 40 people, Jeff's got to have a great deal of project management structure. So I'm going to let him talk about that.
Specifically project management or
Structure, process.
Yeah, so I mean, I think those are things that evolve with the size of the company. I think every 4 developers or so, there's a need for somebody to help run the projects and manage the clients and manage the expectations. And so we kind of have a ratio that we keep in mind, and we look at what that ratio is as we grow, and it may flex, but for right now we're at 40 people. We sort of feel like every time we hit maybe 4 or 5 developers, it's time for another project manager, and that's kind of the ratio that seems to work for the size engagement we have. And getting that math down, understanding sort of the metrics behind the number of designers to developers to managers to internal managers to testers, to business analysts, that those dynamics are very key to utilization, which is the #1 thing that you need to be thinking about in terms of staying profitable as a services business. So that's kind of how we do that. And really for us, it's about ensuring that every project manager has enough to do, but not too much to do. We keep that ratio really, really tight, and we measure it all the time. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Okay, so it's all about the team, it's all about the structure, but all of that comes into a culture. And I know that this whole thing started out of me seeing a video from Ben once talking about his company and how he structured it. So I'm gonna let him talk about culture.